In South Carolina, hundreds of convicted criminals have been given a fresh start by a 7-person committee in Columbia. This includes some offenders who committed violent crimes.
The Parole and Pardon Board has the power to erase all the penalties and restore all the rights taken away by someone's criminal conviction. Now, for many of those people, it's a chance to build an honest life after serving their time in prison. But our investigation found some of these pardoned offenders go right back to a life of crime. And that 7-person board has nothing but their own instincts to tell them who deserves a second chance.
This is where our story of William Tommy Smith will come to an end. It's where police say he beat this woman, Brenda K. Tanner, to death using a baseball bat that she kept in her bedroom for her own protection. Smith has a 42-year criminal record. He got early release from prison and had several second chances to turn his life around. But now he may have finally confessed to a crime that South Carolina can't forgive.
There's good people in this neighborhood. They all been out this morning talking about praying for the family, which I very much so encourage you to do. And you know, this is a crazy thing.
William Tommy Smith's criminal record begins back in 1976. He was 21 years old when he robbed a Dairy Queen and went to prison. In 1981, he was convicted of grand larceny at Spartanburg General and got probation. Then in July of 1989, Smith robbed a convenience store. He stole beer and cigarettes before leading Spartanburg police on a high-speed chase. One of the officers involved told me Smith intentionally rammed his cruiser, flipping it end over end. And here's what another officer told us at the scene.
When I got down here, the police car had already turned over, and I saw some smoke, and I didn't see my officers that was in that police car. And what worried me is the car could catch on fire, and finally I saw one of the officers come out.
Well, Smith was sent to prison for 10 years for assault and battery with intent to kill. He got out in 5. He robbed a little cricket in 1997, threatened to shoot the clerk while taking just $30 from the drawer. The judge gave him 12 years. Smith served 2, released on parole. And then, in 2014, Smith got the biggest break of all. His whole record, including multiple convictions for drugs and domestic violence, got a full pardon, which it turns out shouldn't be a surprise, because in South Carolina, the Board of Paroles and Pardons pardons violent criminals every month.
This is the day we feel good. It really is. We're helping a lot of people here today.
The board meets once a month in this Columbia conference room. Each meeting is dozens of 5-minute sprints.
Case number 2, Donald Austin. Number 3, Shannon Belton.
So tell me how a pardon's going to help you.
In this January meeting, 5 board members will decide 64 cases. 49 of the people who asked for a pardon, that's 75%, get one. The board pardoned the same percentage the month before. And while there are some rules for getting a pardon, the final decision is almost entirely subjective. While members have access to pardon applications and criminal records, there are no real rules for who gets pardons. Instead, it's the opinion of the board members.
But the armed robbery is what I'm concerned about. How'd you get involved in that?
It's their judgment on each applicant that determines who the state forgives.
I want to get that behind me. I really want to see what's out there for me.
The board's chairman is a retired businessman named Henry Eldridge. He asks most of the questions.
Any questions being board members?
In at least one January case, Eldridge and another member said they granted a pardon to someone they planned to deny.
How you doing today, Mr. Gilchrist? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because during his 5-minute in-person interview, he convinced them he was reformed. Despite his convictions for pointing and presenting a weapon and assault, the personal face-to-face meeting earned him a pardon.
I'm personally looking, has a person changed? If the person had a drug problem, did they take care of that? Have they shown that they're part of their community? Have they shown that they understand?
In an instant, that pardon restores many civil rights, like the right to serve on a jury or hold public office. But the real impact is for applicants convicted of violent gun crimes.
So, Mr. Austin, you've got a pretty lengthy record.
Once pardoned, gun rights are fully restored. Last month, we watched 2 men with armed robbery convictions get their gun rights restored.
Mr. Austin will be granted pardon today. The vote is unanimous. Everybody knows on this board that that's my hot button, and I'm the biggest second rights amendment guy in the room. But if a guy has assault charges against him, and the reason he wants to is to get a concealed weapon permit, I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
William Tommy Smith convinced the board he was reformed in 2014. In his pardon application, he wrote, "I have given my life to the Lord and am in the ministry," which is true. He was a deacon at Mount Sinai Baptist Church. In fact, his pastor, James Splawn, attended the pardon hearing. And Smith was married now. After his last early release, he married his parole officer. And that, plus a full decade without another arrest, convinced his church, his family, and friends that he had ended his violent criminal career.
He was just normal. She opened his eyes, you know. And she was always going to church and everything. And she quit her job and went back to teaching. They got married and they went to church every Sunday.
5 minutes after his hearing began, William Tommy Smith got the board's vote. They were convinced they could tell Smith was a new man.
How does somebody convince you I'm not violent anymore?
It's a number of factors. It's not just one thing. It's a whole package of things. To me, you never know for sure. You know, you really don't. But you make as good an informed decision as you can.
Smith's record stayed clean for less than 2 years. He was arrested on a drug charge in 2015, charged with domestic violence the year after that. And then, after the death of his wife, he started seeing the woman he's now accused of killing last December.
The morning he came here, right after he did it, I couldn't believe it. I mean, somebody just walks in that you know, and you know them to be pretty much all right. And they say, "I just killed Brenda, killed her with a ball bat."
Like all the other pardon hearings, the board tried to help William Tommy Smith, gave him a chance to start over with a clean slate. But without firm guidelines for which crimes are pardoned, the board relied on their own opinions, which in this case may have got it wrong.
If I look back on it, probably I would say, boy, we probably made a bad decision. But at the time, with the information that we had at that point in time, we tried to make a good, informed decision.
Well, it must not have been right, because he went back and did what he did a month ago. He might not have known that was still in him.
No, you never know what these people are going to do. Do we always get it right? Probably not.
William Tommy Smith is behind bars tonight and charged with murder. His sister wanted me to add that his life, like many others, was destroyed by drugs, and says it was drug use that made him lose control. The Pardon and Parole Board, they've got another 67 hearings scheduled for this Wednesday.
So, Gordon, you've given us quite the behind-the-scenes look here at this pardon process, one that I've never seen before. And sometimes the decision the board makes, admittedly from their chairman, is not the right decision. What is this doing to the safety of each and every one of us?
So there's a lot here. First of all, we mentioned the fact that the convicted felons can get their gun rights back. There's federal law in particular that bans felons from going out and getting a new weapon. And one thing we've seen a lot of law enforcement agencies do in the upstate is when they're having difficulty keeping known criminals behind bars, if they can catch one of them with a weapon they're not supposed to have, they can refer that for federal prosecution and sometimes get a very lengthy prison sentence attached to it. But because of all these pardons, someone who maybe had a felony on their record can go out and get another gun, and police lose tools like that to prosecute cases against people who they would otherwise be able to keep off the streets. There are also, by the way, Tom, changes in the way that some of these cases might be prosecuted. For example, somebody gets a criminal domestic violence after a pardon. That's their first offense now, even though they might have had several other arrests in the past. It's a very complicated issue, Tom, but it is one that all of us are going to continue to face for the next few years. And I put everything you need to know about this story and about pardons on WSPA.com.
All right, you put a lot of work, a lot of time into this, Gordon, and certainly a very insightful story there. Thanks very much.